John, ready? Good morning. Want to welcome everyone here. Want to again thank the finance staff for putting this together. Commissioner DeGenova, Mr. Ferrari, John Coluccio, who helped with the graphics. That makes us all look good. Happy to present to the City Council the 2016 proposed budget. Schenectady has seen a major resurgence in the last decade. Schenectady County has seen investments of over $900 million. We've seen the retention and creation of 7,000 new jobs. We have a downtown that we can be proud of. And it's the results of these efforts that we've been able to stabilize the city's finances. You know, a few examples, if you look at Firestone 151, it's a new place that has opened up on Lafayette Street. It's now a fitness center, a yoga studio, and a restaurant. That was formerly property where the owners didn't pay the taxes. Was really kind of an embarrassment. It sat there since the 60s. City foreclosed on it, sold it, worked with the developer, have renovated it into something, again, that it adds value and excitement to the continuing resurgence of downtown. We've got an $8 million project going on next to Villa Italia on Broadway. That's going to be a high-tech office with apartments upstairs. The Albany Distillery is going to do a major renovation on Yates Street. We're seeing the Foster Hotel go through a conversion and, again, upscale apartments. Look at down in Lower State Street, there's 200 State Street, 111 Liberty Street. Those are upscale apartments. Beyond our downtown, we're seeing investments. You look again at the high-tech firms that are moving in. New York Biz Lab is really creating a hub of activity there. There's already 3 young upstart firms there, Sure Done, Velocity, and Lottery Rewards. The project at Brandywine and State is progressing. DePaul is looking to move forward with the $17 million investment on Albany Street, and Community Builders, again, is working on a $20 million project in Hamilton Hill at the corner of Albany Street and Craig. We're making major investments in our neighborhoods. We're utilizing partners such as BNI, Community Land Trust, Habitat for Humanity, Schenectady Housing Development Fund, Fund Corporation, County Public Health Services through the Lead Safe Housing Program. This house at the corner of Van Vranken and Salina, it sat there underutilized, really kind of an embarrassment. It was somewhat of a challenge, and we took the property, dealt with some title issues, worked with Habitat to do a total gut rehab of that property, and then also put some, there's an additional house behind that, where it, 2 houses actually, where it, again, has a dramatic impact on the neighborhood. And that's one of the major corridors where you're going up and down Van Vranken Avenue that we're looking to rebuild those and add value. Since 2011, we've taken and renovated 280 properties and invested just under $6 million in our housing stock. We've put together over $10 million from state grants, federal funds, and local assistance with private resources to demolish the severely blighted structures and also work to rehabilitate others. Senator Schumer was instrumental in helping us secure $3 million worth of a Section 108 loan that we're using primarily for demolition. The Capital Region Land Bank is utilizing $3 million in funding, came from Attorney General Snyderman's Land Bank Community Revitalization Initiative, where again we're doing demolition and revitalization on major corridors in the different neighborhoods in the city. As mayor, I brought new attention to our infrastructure investment. We've paved more than 3 times the average amount of streets in previous administrations. From the beginning of my term, we've paved over 44 miles of street surface. In my 2016 budget that I'm proposing to the council today, we would look to do another 11 miles of street surface next year. Recognizing the importance of the quality of life, we have made major investments in our parks. The 2015 budget had $250,000 for upgrades in playground equipment. We were able to acquire and put in place, which will happen later this month at the beginning of November, playground equipment in 6 parks in the city. The budget that I'm submitting to the council today, looking to, again, use capital reserves to fund an additional $250,000 park upgrades next year. There would be $150,000 for restoration at the casino in Central Park and $150,000 for work at the tennis courts in Central Park. That would be done in conjunction with a match of $150,000 from the U.S. Tennis Association and 15 Love to rebuild those courts and bring some regional tournaments back into the city of Schenectady. That's on top of the $1 million that we announced earlier this year from working in conjunction with Assemblyman Steck from the Assembly State Capital Municipal Facilities Grant of $1 million. We're looking to rebuild A Diamond and Music Haven. It's my first term as mayor. When I came in here, I focused initially on the creation of our homes project. Home ownership made easy in Schenectady. It's a dynamic process. It still evolves. We look to conform it to create home ownership opportunities. We started out with 9 partners, Key Bank, NBT Bank, Prudential Manor Homes, Schenectady School District, the Daily Gazette, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Legere Restorations, SRG Architects, Open Stage Media. We've expanded that and added additional partners where we've got Prospect Lending, Caldwell Banker, Sony May, Trusco, Home Depot, the Community Loan Fund, the New York State Housing and Community Renewal, First Niagara, and we have hundreds of realtors that we work with in conjunction with that to promote homeownership opportunities, to look at the, sometimes they're easy houses here, sometimes they're ones that are more challenging, but there's something for everybody. So if somebody wants to move into a house today that doesn't need any work, Schenectady has that. If they're ones where you want to be more creative, spend a little bit more time, do a little bit more investment, we have those. And we've lined up financing mechanisms to work with prospective buyers and their realtors to bring the buyer and the home seller together. Again, over the last 4 years, one of the big problems was the city had sold its tax liens in the past, and there was no follow-up on the distressed property. We stopped that in the first year. It was here, we brought it in-house. We're doing the foreclosures. Things don't happen as fast as we would all like, but they are happening. We brought the houses in. We work with the realtors to market them. The budget this year was projecting $700,000 in sales. We've already met that and we'll go over it. Next year I'm projecting that we would be able to achieve $950,000 in home sales. That number, again, will probably peak in 2016, 2017 as we clear out that backlog of property so that we hopefully will be out of the housing business at some point in the reasonably near future. Also, we've continued our development downtown, but we've shown that we can do major deals, that we attract investments here. We taken the old Alco site, working with the Gillespie Corporation, put in place Mohawk Harbor. It's a $150 million project. We have the Rivers Casino, which they were awarded the almost the license. They're still waiting for the formal license, but the designation here in Schenectady, and that's a $300 million project, which is going to create 1,000 new jobs. And I see part of our challenge going forward is to be able to take our housing stock, as we're doing the foreclosures still at a fairly high rate. We've got 1,000 new jobs being created, to be able to work with those individuals to match them up with housing opportunities within this community. And we're fortunate, again, with the developer at the casino. They're not just casino operators, they're really real estate developers. So they understand their role in the community is much bigger than just running a casino. They want to be part of the resurgence of our downtown. They want to see our neighborhoods flourish and be revitalized. And I look forward to expanding that partnership as we move forward in the next several years. We look to message the activities that we're doing using social media. The Homes program uses, of course, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to get the message out. Again, looking to attract younger people to our community and show that we are somewhat leading edge in terms of messaging and communications. In 2016, looking to unveil a new interactive website to make it even easier for members of the public to communicate comments and concerns with various departments, and then also our ability to follow up on those concerns and comments that come into us. Summary of the budget. Every budget that I've done has been under the tax cap. In 2016, I'm proposing the total budget would go up by a little over 0.2%. The tax levy actually will drop a little bit by about 0.25%. The tax rate remains the same. And again, with that tax rate in the levy, under the program we operate under New York State, that individuals, there was a slight increase last year. Qualified homeowners will receive a rebate from the state of New York for that increase, and I believe they should receive that by the end of this month. Going forward next year, again, my understanding of the formula is that qualified homeowners would be eligible for a rebate up to the tax cap level, which this year was calculated at 0.73%. Our assessed value dropped a little bit. You know, we're really seeing a bottoming on that, where the reappraisal was done years ago, was done right where it coincided with the peak of the market. We still hopefully would be able to do something with Union College, where we would look to put some of their property back on the tax rolls. A lot of the expansion done there, of course, was taken off the tax rolls. It had a net effect pretty much of raising everybody's taxes about 2%. Total positions in the city remain basically the same. Some adjustments here just for seasonal workers and other things. Again, I'm projecting property sales to be $950,000, and our prior year tax lien collection. Again, as we're going out for those individuals who still choose not to pay their taxes, we're more aggressive in the follow-up and collecting that. And I would rather have the money show up in this line than have us actually have to do the foreclosures. But when people don't pay the taxes, we're going to go out and do the foreclosures. And the budget I'm submitting to you today carries that estimate at $6.4 million. It's up a little bit from last year. Again, it shows our becoming more sophisticated and aggressive in our follow-up, and also the value of some of the property is worth more, so that people, in fact, at the end will pay as opposed to go through the foreclosure proceeding. All fees and rates remain unchanged in this budget. Look at public safety, the police department, looking to have, it's about a $570,000 increase. That goes for, there's contractual increases where there's step increases within the collective bargaining agreements. I'm also proposing that we add 4 new police officers and 1 detective. Those numbers, we're looking at 5 positions, they only show 4. One is, there's an intern that's actually being transferred over to the county to match up with a funding stream that's just better for the county to pay for it. Our crime rates continue to fall here in the city of Schenectady. Our year-to-date rates, Part 1 crimes are down 29%. And again, I compliment Chief Kilcullen in the back of the room for leading that initiative in data-driven policing. It works. It helps us integrate the delivery of services for the other information that we're collecting from other departments. And the chief, well, he's going on in a different career path now. He's really set an agenda for the city to follow that has produced results, and he's building a national reputation in terms of police management of resources and the delivery of services. But this, again, continues that trend of statistical improvement. It doesn't minimize any of the horrific events that happen. Where you have homicides, other than the very violent crimes, those are the hardest to predict and the hardest to prevent. But our base, we're continuing to improve on it. And where we're doing the housing initiatives, improving the housing stock, we're eliminating some of the areas in things that foster criminal activity. So it's what I've said over the last 4 years, it is a slow incremental improvement that creates a firm foundation that's sustainable as we go forward. Again, just doing a recap of that, we're down just under 30%. And if you look at our violent crimes, down 15%, and the property crime is down a little over 30%. Schenectady has the lowest crime rates in the Capital District. When I came in 4 years ago, they were actually the highest. When you do the calculations today, it's the work that we're doing, again, from housing, code enforcement, other things, and the work that the men and women in the police department do every day in terms of their closure rate. It's really very impressive where we have had major crimes and also ones that don't necessarily rise to the level of high visibility or high profile ones. They're closing them out. They're making arrests. They're sending a message that we're not going to tolerate that we expect people to play by the rules, and we want this community to be a place where people want to buy a home, want to live here, and want to invest. The fire department budget staffing remains the same, looking for an increase of a little over $130,000. We provide the hazmat coverage for the entire county, looking for a little increase in that. Confined space program, some additional training, and then just stipends for those individuals assigned to that unit. Also looking to reinstate the boat team. The expenses there, as we look to implement that next year, be about $22,000. That allows us to be better prepared for increased activity on the river and be able to respond to those water events that require the paramedics or other fire services. Quick recapture of the what the fire department does. Again, it's fire department, but it's the emergency medical services that they deliver every day. They do it at such an impressive level. It sets the standard for other communities in terms of how we respond and the level of service that we provide. Office of General Services, looking to keep the basic staffing in place. The proposed budget has an increase of a little over $630,000. Some of that is not a total increase that you'll see as you go through the budget. We've taken and consolidated vehicle repair lines in this budget and removed them from the individual department lines. Looking to advance the Center for Technology and Government's project with code enforcement. We're going to continue to use city crews next year for some of our paving, where we look to do that 11 miles. Again, as we're bringing online the TransFinder vehicle maintenance monitoring and route project, looking to increase our efficiencies, our ability to track where our resources